Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Friday. That's the last day of the week for a lot of you guys. For retirees, just another day, and just for workaholics, it's another day, right? So, what are we going to talk about today? I thought I would round out the week with when you have a repair job go wrong, whose fault is it? And this isn't going to be finger pointing. I know that's what you want, but what do you do as a boss, as a mechanic, employee, when things don't go according to plan? And, well, stay tuned and we'll talk this out. And I'd love to have your feedback on it. All right, stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Yes, it is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Friday, the 26th of September. So it's available on podcast. So what are we talking about today? I'm talking about everything is great when everything clicks, right? And you get the customer's machine in, you get it knocked out, you get the parts, you get them in, you get it out in a pretty quick time, you get paid, and you move on, right? Those are the kind of jobs that I like, all right? But what happens when something goes wrong? And who should be responsible if it's a redo? Or if it's something that it didn't even come in for? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what the hell? I've got a few examples I can throw at you because, it's just me and Claude here at the shop. And the one is my John Deere 820. Claude was raking with it midsummer. He lost all hydraulics. The 3-point hitch arms slammed and fell, and something happened, right? So he decided it was the hydraulic pump that was bad. So I went online and I bought a brand new Chinese aftermarket pump. Said it fit that tractor. When we got it, we found out that they measure wrong because it didn't line up with where the orifices were supposed to be. All right. The first one was totally wrong. And I got a hold of the seller and said, I'm going to ship this back. I want the right one that's in that that's in that picture, right? And they said they didn't have any in that looked like that picture. So they refunded me my money, and I went and found another seller that did have one that was in the picture. All right. I go onto the John Deere website. I pull up a John Deere part number, and I go from there. I don't punch into eBay. Will this tractor fit a 820? No, I go to John Deere and find out what the actual pump number is, part number. And that's where I start my search, all right? Now, in that one, it lasted about 2 weeks, and it blew the seal again. Internal. So, we took the other pump, and broke it down and found that seal, put it in this one, and it lasted a day. So, something's not right there, but yet, it's one of those 2 units in one. The front part is power steering, the back part is hydraulics. Front part for power steering is working fine because you have power steering. So the front pump is fine. It's the back pump. And then we also had to take and cut the lines and shorten one and extend another to get it so it lined up correctly as well. All right, so that's still not right. I've got a Kubota compact customer's machine. Came in for a rear main seal leak. We found the leak, got that fixed. Checked the clutch while we were in there. Everything was fine. It was ready to go home. And Claude said, I want to start it and make sure that it's not leaking. Well, he started it. And the minute he revved it a little bit, the hydraulic pump that was on it cracked and blew hydraulic fluid. And the only reason that he could come up with was that they had capped the ends, the owner did. And that it was deadheading. And the pump went because of the deadhead. Now the customer told us that when he pulled the loader off to send it over, he lost all hydraulics. Okay, so essentially it didn't come in with hydraulics. It came in for an oil leak. But with the pump blowing on our watch, I ordered the Chinese pump. I told you he'd come in, and he did not want to spend $875 on the OEM. So Claude got the new pump all installed. We had to do some heating and bending and fabricating. And we're not getting any hydraulic pressure off this pump. It came from China. Had to fabricate. And I can't figure out, the two of them put a bypass hose from one to the other orifice. And I cracked the lines, and I still am not getting any pressure off that pump. And the fluid is up there. All right. Tractor 3 came in, no hydraulics. We changed out the transmission hydraulic pump, pilot bearing. The guy asked Claude to take a look at the clutch and pressure plate. Claude said they look great. Put it all back together again. He was going to drive it back to the guy's place because just up the road, he got halfway there and it started making a hell of a noise. So we get it back to the shop. We have it split again. And the pressure plate, he said, looks like it's ability to move. But when he went to play with the shaft that goes back to that transmission pump that we replaced, he found it's making a noise there. Now, we already told the guy that the clutch and pressure plate are good, but that's going to cost me another $375 to order that in. And now he's saying he thinks it might be one of the shafts that are in that transmission pump or the Chinese pump has failed. That tractor's been here and it's got close to 22 man hours already on it. And whose problem is that? It's my problem. That's whose problem it is. That's why if you're going to be a boss, an owner, you've got to make it so that shit doesn't run downhill. I'm not happy with the level of work that's going out these past couple weeks. But in the same token, we're using Chinese aftermarket parts it's a 50-50 shot as far as I'm concerned these days. And it's zero right now in our shop. That the stuff that we're getting is either not correct or it's junk. But the one thing I don't want to hear from Claude is it's not my problem. Because it is part of his problem. He controls the shop. He controls the repairs. I'm better with customers. Because he says I finesse. I don't finesse. I just tell them the truth. I try to be honest with everybody. And we were trying to figure out the guy's bill on the Kubota. And he said, well, I can't bill him for this and this and this and this. I said, why not? Well, because it really wasn't his fault. Well, whose fault was it they wanted the Chinese pump that caused us to fabricate? Yes, we ordered that, but that's what he wanted. And he needs to know, and we need to be honest with him, that we had to do all this workaround to make it work, and it's still not working. But we had to extend posts. We had to heat and bend pipe. There was a lot to it. The guy with the 401b, he's a good friend of mine, and I don't want any hardships with him. And what do we do? That's what I asked Paul yesterday. What are you going to do? Well, we need to take the romps back off, get it back in, split it in back. And do what? Do everything all over again? And you get paid again for 2.5 weeks? And I suck up the pay plus the cost of the new parts that you already replaced? See, that's the part most people don't get to see, is what we as owners have to go through, what we as owners have to deal with on a kind of a regular basis, and that is making decisions. To be totally honest with you, and it's hard to do, you have to take how you feel out of it, and this is business. I don't care. It's business. Now, if this was a flat rate shop, this shop wouldn't be paying for the three of them. So what I'm looking at right now is, where do I lay the blame? Right now, all I can think of is we're seeing less and less quality out of these aftermarket parts just this past year, of them trying to do workarounds on stuff and just peddling as much stuff as they can that got rejected by the aftermarket companies that supply those same parts. But the thing is the last 3 pumps came from 2 sellers that are here in the U.S. that call themselves an aftermarket company. One's got over 1 million sales on eBay alone. And it says it comes with a 1-year guarantee. But who pays to tear it all back down again after you have it back together and do the process all over? Yes, they're willing to give you a different pump in exchange for the pump that failed. But still, it's on the shop to cover labor, right? And if you're a one-man band, you just lost 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks of pay of having to do a redo on a customer's machine. Because you can't blame the customer, right? You can to a certain extent. And this is the tiff that I get into with Claude, is if the customer decides on an aftermarket part, that's on them. All right? If we take it in our own way and do it on our own and then tell the customer, that's on us. But for the 2 tractors with the hydraulic pumps, both of them wanted the aftermarket – because it was a lot cheaper. I'd like your take on this. I mean, if you're a one-man band, the only one you can point fingers at is yourself and suck it up, buttercup, right? But if you're running a shop and you're the business owner and that takes place, as a shop, you're going to eat it, right? It comes out of your pocket. And I don't know about you, but with my shop, 2.5 weeks of work that has to be redone is a pretty good hit. And it's slowing down the amount of units we can get in and get fixed and back out. And what responsibility does your shop foreman own with this? This is something that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And this is something that, you guys that are thinking about getting into the business and having employees and stuff, you have to really do your due diligence. And you have to understand that you're going to have good times, you're going to have bad times, and you're going to have mediocre times. And you need to take it across the board, as I say. And that is I'm going to cover the redo. I have to. And I'm going to chalk it up to, Friday the 13th was this month, wasn't it? But I'd like to have your take on it. I already know what you're going to say, Amos. Because you are very radical of, if I have to hire one employee, I'm not doing it. But what about you other guys that maybe you're running a shop or you're in HR in a business or retired in HR? What things did you run into like this and how did you deal with it? See, this channel is all about learning. And I'm not here to say I'm the best at everything, because I'm not even close. But I'm also not the worst. And if we could teach each other ways to manage people and manage situations and weather the storm when things aren't going right, because if any business, I'm telling you right now, you're going to have those storms, those hurricanes that come flying through. And you can't just totally focus on the hurricane and the storm damage. You got to focus on the year. And that is, at the end of the year, hopefully, the shop has made a profit. Hopefully. So on that note, you guys have a great Friday. Put it in the comments. Even if you don't own a shop or not in HR, how would you handle it? How would you handle these Chinese sellers or U.S. sellers that are selling Chinese stuff that the quality has gone right off the rail as far as I'm concerned? Curious to know. Enjoy your Friday, your weekend. I'm sure I'll have something over the weekend for you. And on that note, we'll catch you later.